Yeah.
That was a really satisfying burp. That sounded like it was the burp, and then like air came out of you, like deflated.
There. Yeah, my stomach's completely flat now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the HeadKanon podcast. I'm Jordan. This is Bryan.
Yo.
This is Tate.
Yeah.
And if you, what the weak ass hello. If you're new here, we put out a podcast every week except for when we don't. Make sure to join our Discord if you want to keep up with the show and hang out with us. All the links down below. Guys, what have you been into this week?
This is going to lead into the topic.
Yeah, it absolutely will be.
Helldivers 2, baby. That's
Helldivers 2.
I'm playing a shit ton of Helldivers 2.
That's all we've been playing.
That's all I can think about. That's all I want to play.
What a diamond in the rough! Like, just who would have thought that game would have just exploded?
I think it happened because we were so ready for an experience like that. I think, like as gamers.
I don't think so. No.
I feel like I was craving something that was like fun to play with the homies. That wasn't like Call of Duty. You know?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I even played a multiplayer game with you guys other than probably maybe Modern Warfare 2.
Maybe,
back in like when
2019?
Whenever the game that came out,
2020?
When did Modern Warfare 2 come out? 2021? 2022?
I think so, yeah, Modern Warfare 2.
Maybe 2022.
But like it's like co-op. It's like the only thing that I remember like really enjoying with friends quite this much was Halo 3 back in the day, because it's like genuinely fun to play with a group of friends.
Yeah.
And I haven't had that in a hot second for a game, and I think Helldivers 2 just like totally scratched that itch.
For me,
to the point where like I don't want to play it by myself. Like it's hard to play it by yourself.
You can't really play it by yourself. It's kind of like one of those games where you're like
some of the missions like altered for you to play by yourself. Like the satellite missions, it's a click that does it. Like we rotating the satellite. So they're constructed to be by yourself. They're just harder.
Yeah. I played a level 6 by myself. I fucking got destroyed.
Dude, me and T playing. I mean, we only played level 3.
Level 6, the last time that we played, fucking turned into the end of Terminator 2.
Salvation. That's literally what it is.
That's what I love about it, though. It's like the marketing for like the game didn't have to sell us really hard on anything. Like, hey, just play this game, and then you'll see why people like it.
Completely word of mouth, like TikTok and word of mouth. That's literally what sold this game.
Well, that's the thing,
because it didn't explode right when it came off. It was like maybe like 3 or 4 days in. Word of mouth spread. It like dude, you have to check this out. And then as soon as those clips of like the Creek came out, and it was like, this is Terminator. We're playing Terminator. People were like hopping on.
The first Helldivers was like a hidden gem for the PS4.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
And
you know what's funny? I thought the first Helldivers was a PC game, like an old. Like,
it wasn't PC too. It was on PC too.
No, but I thought it was like a tabletop RPG, like Fallout 1, Fallout 2. I didn't know it was like so recent.
It was like a top-down shooter.
Like
Yeah, it's a top-down shooter, but the same vibes of 2 is in that, but just different perspective.
That's cool.
This one, Helldivers 2 is clearly Sony's Games of Service initiative they started a while back, one of the 12 to 15 Games of Service games. And this was in like 9 years in development. But when it came out, they promoted it on State of Play and PlayStation Showcase. And it got promotion, but it was targeting to Helldiver fans, not everyone, clearly.
Yeah.
But when the game came out, it threw the word in the storm. It beat God of War PC sales instantly.
That's crazy.
I think Spider-Man's is too, and it's exceeding numbers, and it's doing way more than it expected from Sony's too. It's even got people considering which I wish they would shut the hell up about, because it's not gonna. It's a different type of game, but people are considering putting PlayStation games on day and date because of this game. But granted, it's the Games of Service games. This game needs to be on every platform.
Wait, what are people trying to do? What are people considering?
They think because this game gets sold really well on PC that they're gonna think Sony is gonna put everything on PC day one.
Oh, gotcha.
Doesn't really work that way.
Helldivers is on PC.
Yeah, I know, but they saying how much it sold really well. They think every other game's gonna do the same thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you gotta look into like Sony's track record and how they want to promote PlayStation too.
Yeah,
they're not gonna put everything day and day like that. So
no, I think that this game is on PC because I don't think they predicted it doing nearly as well as it did.
Yeah.
So I thought that they
needed it's a live service game too. You got to have as much revenue as possible with those games.
That makes sense. It's still a live service, but like part of the thing that I like about it is that like you are not pressured at all to buy any of the in-game currency or any of like the in-game items. Like everything's, as far as I know, like unlocked by in-game currency. And like if you want, you can even buy like the credits with in-game currency, which I thought was fucking awesome. Sorry, my cat is the neediest cat today. She has not left me alone.
What do they call it when they cats?
Cat scratch fever?
No, it's like when they're horny. What's the term for it?
They eat?
Yeah.
My cat. I don't think that's what applies, but thanks. Yeah. Hello. She's just a needy little. Look at her.
Charlie, you want to say something?
Gonna stay right here.
No, I've just been like hella addicted to it. I can't get enough of
Helldivers. I've been really, really fucking sick. It's been really fucking sick. And I saw PlayStation Access where they were talking about like the reasoning behind some of the decisions. Like the fact that it's like online all the time. Like every player is adding to the liberation counter of like a specific planet or a specific system. They said that was like so on purpose because they wanted to grow this like sense of community for all like the players themselves. And I think that it's crazy that it works so well. Because the community is like the funniest part of that game. People are just online posting like, "We gotta liberate this fucking planet," or like, "What was the
patriotism of it is insane."
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's satire. It exaggerates it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that people in the internet are like joining the bit.
Yeah, everyone's essentially like you're kind of like a space Nazi. Like you're false flagging people into attacking these robots and stuff, and everyone's just kind of like on a board with like just how absurd it is.
Yeah, it's based a lot on like Starship Troopers, which is like a parody of Star Wars.
That's funny because I actually was watching that today.
Like, oh, really?
I got halfway through it, yeah, but I'm like, yeah, this is definitely Helldivers. Like,
I haven't seen a whole lot of that movie. I should rewatch it.
The visual effects for it to come out in '97 is extremely impressive.
Oh yeah, I love that shit.
Because I think it got Oscar nominated.
I didn't know that.
I guess. Yeah.
It's been years since I've seen it. But seeing that and seeing like all the little pop culture references for Helldivers and like how the community is being like having a lot of fun with it, it seems like a little microcosm of like a good time that we don't see a whole lot. And I'm really happy.
I don't know the last time I had a good experience with a community like this in a very long time.
Yeah,
like
me neither.
You know, the meme we're doing our part. That's what it literally feels like. People are essentially like role playing, but it's fun. But you're actually trying to. Everyone's
contributing to like. I mean, like me and Tay were just playing before we hopped on, and we actually liberated an entire planet.
Oh fuck yeah!
I think we were like the last people on God. I think we were the last people.
Yeah,
because we saw it, we hit it. We watched it go 99 to 100%.
100,
yeah. That's pretty satisfying.
So it was like 99.99999, and then we watch it flip over to 100% complete.
That's awesome.
And now that planet's locked. Now that planet's locked. Now you can't play that planet anymore.
I think that's a really fun system too. Like the fact that the planet's just locked and it just generates a new planet. Yeah. And it just goes like, all right, well, this one's free. Here, go liberate this one.
It's so fun.
It is a lot of fun. I did Tay, you tweeted the other day. Someone posted, "Well, the Terminate planets are fine, but we gotta get this Autobots out of here."
Yeah, we gotta get them out of here. We gotta eradicate these guys.
You tweeted.
You look at
we did our part.
Huh?
Just you tweeting, quoting that tweet and going like, "We were there yesterday. We did our part."
We did our part. We did 2 tours there last night.
What were you gonna say?
Like, we need to cause genocide on these guys because they're dangerous. They need
to
be
those
eradicated.
Those are fucking terrifying, man.
Terraforming the planet bomb by bomb.
Dude, you gotta calm that down, dude.
No, I gotta.
Jordan just throws like orbital strikes without telling anyone.
Dude, you killed me 3 times in 2 matches.
Jordan,
that clip is so funny. I've watched it about 6 times. Because I'm like, guys, step back. I'm about to try out this new thing. And then I just like look over. I get shot back and I get like flipped over. I'm like, whoa, that was pretty powerful. And I just like look at you, and then you just get turned into mist. I'm like, oh my god, because it hits you directly on your fucking spine.
Dude, hits me like, right on the head, right on the fucking head.
Them barrages are insane.
You know what's crazy? I unlocked that barrage and I tried it, and I stood too close to it again and got fucked up by it again.
Yeah, dude.
I'm
you have to
dropping to
launch
120.
Bitches.
I'm dropping to 120. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, you gotta be like really far away.
Yeah.
Even the 120 is like absurdly like wow, because that's what I kept killing Bryan with. It was the 120.
Actually, when I unlocked the other one, the game said communication with teammates is advised.
Oh, it says that?
Yeah. Because
before the night we all played, I think, I was playing with this dude. He was terrible. If he just kept throwing bombs.
No, that pisses me off.
I hate players like that. Like he just kept throwing. That's all he did. He didn't shoot. He just kept throwing bombs.
Yeah, I ran into a player like that. The one thing that I hate about playing with randoms is that the highest level one will always want to be the squad leader, and he'll keep tagging random shit in the map and expecting people to follow him, and then he'll go off solo when people don't follow. That guy, I really have some beef with.
Yeah, I experience that sometimes, but usually I like them because they do the objective and stuff. So
yeah. This time this guy did not, and he killed me like 3 times with like a fucking orbital strike. He just threw it in my direction.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful with those bombs.
I love how the objectives. Like I was watching a podcast. Someone said like some games when you do objectives, you push the button and you just sit there. In this game, I gotta like do this, tell you guys, hey, turn this way. Push that button. I love that about this game.
And like the directional input mechanic when you're at the terminal is like my favorite thing.
That is kind of frustrating though when you get to do something like that and you're not communicating through mic.
Yeah,
it is a little bit hard.
Say it again.
It is a little bit hard when you're trying to like coordinate something and then like people aren't on mics and they just don't do it. It can be. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Other than Helldivers, what have you guys been into?
Playing Persona 3.
How's Persona 3?
It's fucking rad. I made a video about it.
Have you rizzed up your teacher yet?
You dropped it?
No. Yeah, I dropped it. It came out this morning.
Everyone go watch that.
Go watch that. It's a good video. I think it's a good video at least. But yeah, I've been playing Persona 3. It's really awesome. I will not be banging my teacher. Thank you very much.
I made my whole 3 in years. I played a PSP version.
Persona 5. There was a mission. There was an absolute goal.
They're always a little problematic with shit like that. Yeah.
Great fucking thumbnail, by the way. Good lord.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Delicious thumbnail.
Delicious.
The what?
It's a delicious thumbnail.
Oh, hell yeah. Delicious. Yeah, I love that thumbnail. It's really good.
I bought an espresso maker, and I've been getting into little knick-knack accessories onto like
you
to add to.
You fucking.
Yeah, here we go.
You have to stop,
ladies
dude.
and gentlemen. Here we go. Here we go.
It's a PlayStation mug. When it heats up, it hurts a PlayStation logo.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I support you. I support you. Support your hobbies, but you gotta pick at least 3. You gotta pick at least 3.
I am the man with most hobbies on planet Earth.
The one who made me. The devil with 3 heads. Ghidorah.
Anyway, how's your espresso machine going?
Dude, I love it. I love like waking up in the morning,
awesome.
like making it like a chai tea or something like that. I'm trying to like perfect it. Like I'm trying to practice and get good at it.
Dude,
but like you do need those little freaking knickknacks and stuff to actually like get it to do its job properly.
Yeah, you
or
do.
You're kind of getting like shitty. Like you're kind of just wasting your beans.
You remember that I used that? I used to have one in Rock Hill. I used to have like, a really nice espresso
ever since
machine.
You made me one. Ever since you made me a cup of coffee, I was like, damn, you can make coffee this good at home, and I'm like, all right, I got to get one. And I
even got really good at like frothing the milk. Does yours have a milk frother?
Yeah, I got like the basic one, but I mean everything I need. I just need an espresso maker, and then the froth wand. And
the froth wand, yeah. You're sad, man. You're sad. Learning how to pull the milk was like the hardest thing, especially if you're not using like full fat, whole milk. But once you handle that, you're gonna be making lattes left and right.
I actually kind of know already. When I worked at Panera, they taught me how to use one of those, so I kind of already know how to do it.
Gotta dial it in, brother. Hey, how about you? What you been up
to? I just been extremely tired lately. I haven't been resting a lot. I've been having awful gym days lately.
Awful gym days
Except
lately?
just not finding the equipment you need?
No, more so like, you know, you do like a traditional workout, but it's like heavier the other day or lousy the next day or something.
Yeah, you just have bad rest nights or something. You don't get enough. Yeah. It might be sleep.
Sleep.
Like,
yeah, I think
you're just not getting enough sleep.
Yeah, you historically don't sleep very much.
No, it's gotten significantly worse, and it's starting to affect my health. So
yeah, should go to a doctor. See what they can do for you.
You've been tweeting. Yeah, you were tweeting about your eyes. Like some people, like your eyes are really tired looking.
Yeah, people actually came up to me like, "You all right?" Yeah.
That's a bad sign, too.
Yeah, it's a bad sign.
I get it. For someone that chronically has tired eyes, I get it.
Yeah.
All right, man, my leg's falling asleep. Get the fuck out of here.
Your cat's that fat?
My cat's fat as hell.
Anyway,
dude.
Let's move on to our main topic.
Yeah,
all right.
So
let's go ahead. Enough about us.
Enough about us. Let's
our little
talk.
hobbies and bullshit.
But before you do that, make sure you like and subscribe our YouTube channel, our video, because it helps us out a lot.
I
can do it. Make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot.
Yeah, it really does.
My favorite
revenue, dude.
My favorite thing of Tay saying that is that you always say it like someone has a bullet to your head because it feels such an awkward thing to say. It's like, fucking please like and subscribe, and you're just like, I know you hate saying it.
Yeah, but it's a part of the process because it helps us out a lot.
That's so funny. Yeah, like and subscribe, comment, agree with us, disagree with us, just engage with us. It helps a lot.
Yeah, if you want to support the show, comment down below, like,
helps
subscribe, share it with your friends. So do all the things.
But as far as like the kind of like the big main topics that happened, Xbox news came out yesterday, I think.
Which is,
was it 2 days ago?
I don't really know anything about this, and it just seems like a big thing of nothing.
That's exactly what it is.
Can someone unpack this for me?
It's a whole bunch of faff. Tay, I think you know a little bit more context than I do, so I'm gonna let you explain it to Rocket.
So
can we get Phil on? Call Phil. Let me hang on. I'm calling Phil.
About 2 weeks ago,
Phil.
Xbox. There was these rumors. About 2 weeks ago, there's these rumors that Xbox are making their games multi-platform, which they kind of are doing. Then a lot of Xbox fans are selling their Xboxes, crying
bunch
online.
Of babies.
It was terrible. And it was funny too. I was having a ball with it.
It was hilarious. The brand took a hit. Like Xbox took a hit in terms of like public perception, because suddenly it was just like, oh, like the tweets were all like, Xbox is going multi-plat, like Starfield and Indiana Jones are going to PS5. Like, what are they going to have? Whatever the fuck.
Well, there's a bit of a thing going on there where usually it's easy to blame fans about how they reacted here. The media also is an issue here too.
For sure.
This news and Xbox, everyone was part of the problem with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
The media, the way the media portrayed it. I get it's news to report, but it was really weird how it was handled. Xbox didn't say anything. Fans overreacting to things that's not even confirmed yet. It's funny because I hope this conversation kind of changes. Probably won't. How we view gaming coverage, because it was just disastrous. I would put it that way. The way it was handled from all areas. And,
I think that the weird thing was, to me, that Xbox didn't clarify immediately what was going on. Because it's one thing to like say we are going to put some of our first party titles into third parties and let them become multi-plat. And it's one thing to say our games are not going to be multi-plat, and like not correct the media frenzy that happened around that second statement. I feel like that would be an immediate press release and just being like, hey, there was a bit of miscommunication. Like, we actually meant we're going to put 4 titles instead of our entire lineup as a multi-platform titles. And I feel like that would have like alleviated some of the pain, but because they didn't do that, Xbox fanboys, and like people believed it, and then because Xbox didn't deny it, like they felt justified in that, in believing it, and so like nobody really did any PR control around that announcement, especially in a time where like Xbox knows that it is losing some sales and knows that Xbox Game Pass are not where they need to be. Like, they are not doing so hot in comparison to Sony or Nintendo. So I think letting the press run with that was a really weird decision from Xbox.
Yeah. And it's more so like when you mentioned it to account the rumors, if you look at Game Pass numbers, they confirmed yesterday 34 million users, and which is still, people saying it's really low. And Xbox sales are declining. You can take those numbers. You there, Bryan?
Yeah, sorry. My camera does that thing every half an hour.
You can take those numbers, which are like fact, and compare to these rumors, like, oh, that makes sense why they would put Starfield on a PlayStation or Switch, or why they put Hi-Fi Rush on that and stuff. So some things do connect the dots, but when they came out and dropped the official news, I'm like, it was a lot of noise, but nothing happened. I call it fluff. It's like,
yeah, and that was kind of I was kind of annoyed because like there was some Crockett. I don't know if this is making sense to you at this point, but just
was it Xbox like? Did Xbox make a lot of fluff about it, or did fans like kind of get carried away with what was being announced?
Well, but it's kind of you can say like when I pick keyword like numbers, the facts. You can use that and think of decisions they will make or something that will make sense, but they still haven't done that. Like Game Pass numbers are still low. Xbox consoles are still low. It would make sense to throw Starfield or something on those platforms, but they're still not doing that. They gave a valid reason. I understand the reason. Like we still want people to buy an Xbox console, but even Starfield, their biggest game out of this entire acquisition purchases, Starfield, they didn't do anything. They didn't move a needle.
So like, to answer your question, Xbox wasn't at fault for kind of like the whole media frenzy. Like they didn't do a whole bunch of the fluff. They released a statement, in my opinion, a purely thought out statement that said that titles would be coming to multi-platform. And then gaming journalism and then the Twitter sphere went crazy with that information and started sending out rumors.
Kind of got a little carried away, like per usual.
So it was like Xbox said a thing that was. Yeah, I think so too. And like this is why I think I made the video yesterday talking about it, talking about like having just watched a podcast, and it felt like you said, Tate, it felt like a lot of corporate fluff. And they're essentially saying like, we're not changing our strategy, but we're fundamentally changing the way that we are pursuing exclusivity, which is changing the strategy, in my opinion. So I think that Xbox is in this weird spot where they know that Xbox hardware sales are not doing so hot, and then the Game Pass numbers are not doing so hot. So I think the reason why they're acquiring all of these studios and becoming more of a publisher entity is so that they can publish games on Xbox Game Pass as first party titles day one, and then like hopefully attract people to join that platform, because their focus is now going to be not competing with Sony or Nintendo in terms of hardware, but just getting like player convenience. Like how do we make it easier for players to play all of these games? And I think that part of the strategy there is like more acquisitions, release them on their Game Pass, and then kind of throw them out there in hopes of like gathering new players. And like the numbers kind of support that. Like if your Xbox Game Pass numbers are a little bit low, then you need to grow that number. And what better way to grow that number than put people that have big franchises invested, like or people that are invested in big franchises like Diablo 4 that's coming to Game Pass now. And then like getting those people to join Game Pass, or getting people that want to try those games but don't want to like invest a $60 title to try them out in Game Pass. So it's a really interesting. Sorry, my mouth is dry. It's a really interesting, like, way to communicate. They essentially said we're thinking about exclusivity the same way that we've always thought about it, while at the same time admitting that they're not fit to compete in the exclusivity market, in my opinion. What do you think, Tay?
Say it again. Sorry, the last part.
I feel like they have, without trying to admit it, or like they try to deny that they're thinking about exclusivity differently, but at the same time they've admitted that they just can't compete in the exclusivity market.
Yeah, they admitted that last year during a kind of funny's what's the Xbox show? That big interview they did it over there with Phil Spencer. They said they admitted they lost the wrong generation. Since then, the hill has been going lower and lower, the decline.
Right.
But yesterday you listen to the podcast, and this is exactly why I didn't want a podcast. I wish they did a blog post or tweet, because when Phil speaks, not a bad guy by any means. He's a good corporate guy, whatever. But it's like you can just read between the lines, which is nonsense.
Yeah. It's just a fluff, kind of a fluff
like
speaker.
Fluff. And like he kept saying 4 games. We already know what the 4 games is. Say it.
Sea of Thieves.
Sometimes you want developers to speak, talk about it because they had their own announcements for it. Sure. But why are you so wishy-washy with it?
That was the annoying bit.
Hi-Fi Rush. I can't even say the other words with the P.
I don't know.
Pentiment or something, I think.
Oh, yeah. Fuck, I forgot what that name is, but I know which one you're talking about.
That and Grounded. 2 of those games.
How do we know that those are the 4 games?
Well, Hi-Fi Rush been literally data leaks for like months now.
Oh, really? That is
kind of... see if these was in the rumors too.
Interesting.
Yeah. But he mentioned 2 live service games. And see if he's a live service game and Ground is a live service game. He already clarified like these numbers for those. What he's saying is Xbox numbers are so low that those particular games, the service games, needs more players.
Yeah.
The normal games, they're not getting any higher because no one playing because the Xbox sales are low. Right. So they need everyone else's platforms. The Nintendo Switch is perfect for Hi-Fi Rush. It fits that environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think PlayStation is gonna like make those sales go up too. So they need Nintendo PlayStation to make these games thrive. I guarantee, like when it comes to Nintendo Direct, they announce Hi-Fi Rush is coming to Switch.
Yeah,
those numbers are going to jump tremendously, and that's going to incite Starfield, Indiana Jones, or even Blade on PlayStation, Xbox. He's using these games as bait, and I love how everyone agrees with that.
Yeah,
he just won't admit that.
That was the thing that I found really bizarre is that like, Starfield and Indiana Jones are not becoming first party. And it's just like, they're not becoming first party now.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're going to be, they're not going to become multi-platform now.
Yeah.
But I feel like they will. Like, it's inevitable. Like, Starfield
I still believe in Starfield coming to PS5. I believe that dev kit rumor. I really think that's real.
Yeah.
Just
and that makes sense. And it's a crazy rumor for it to show up, even if it's not real. Like, getting a dev kit out there for PS5. I feel like they said a lot of like, I promise we have like Xbox brand's best interest. We're concerned with the long-term health of the platform. But all that they were saying really was just like, hey, please fucking sign up for Game Pass. We got a lot of shit coming up for Game Pass. And that's all I got from that conference. They really didn't say anything at all.
No. And that's the most annoying part, dude. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, like it could have been a tweet. It
literally could have been a tweet. It could have been.
They could have just tweeted 4 games multi-platform, 10 games not. Fuck you. That would have been it. And it would have been great. So Crockett, I hope that made sense. Xbox just said a whole bunch of nothing.
After this news, though,
you think they feel like obligated to kind of do something spectacular other than just kind of giving you like a little, here's this. I mean, what else did the podcast kind of go over?
Well, they went over a lot of really the big thing that they talked about was exclusivity, and that was like the first 7 minutes of the podcast.
Was it kind of like letting the player base kind of like down a little bit, where there was kind of like, okay, this is kind of like the direction we're going now?
It sounds like what we're talking about is going to happen, but this podcast feel like chill out for right now.
Yeah, it was really happen. That.
Yeah, it felt like he was trying to like tone the fire down a bit. The fire is still there, but
yeah. And but the thing is, like they were saying, like a lot of the questions that they asked were like, what does this mean for Xbox? Like the status quo multi-platform. Like, are you guys changing your approach to exclusives? And what does it mean? Like, what does Game Pass mean for Xbox? Like, how are you approaching first-party titles? So, like, the whole thing was really just a long conversation about saying, like, hey, we know these 4 games are coming out. Relax. We have no plans to do anything else in the future that you know of, but we absolutely will be doing this in the future. It's like the gist that I got from that was okay, this is going to be a successful move for those titles. Because more players are going to be putting them out. They need to make money because the bottom line of Xbox has been hurting. So eventually we're going to see a lot of successful titles make their way into multi-platform. Like Hellblade is absolutely going to be a multi-platform game at some point down the line.
They're still saying Gears is. And I think Halo Chief Master Collection's coming to, not Infinite, but the collection's coming to PlayStation.
Collection's coming to PlayStation. That would make sense.
Yeah.
They just need...
The absurdity of playing Halo 3 on a PlayStation, I can't fathom it.
Wild. Mm-hmm. Seeing the reload bumper be or the melee button be a square instead of an X.
Yeah. I'm getting dizzy.
I think it's they like this note that I said here. It's like they claim that they claim their strategy isn't changing, but I think it's changing pretty dramatically. They're clearly deprioritizing hardware and focusing on digital gaming on a subscription basis. And that's what they've been doing for a couple of years. So nothing's changed. People lost their fucking mind about it. A bunch of Xbox fanboys cried. And now Xbox is dealing with a PR hit, dealing with a bad image online, and still they don't really have any games to show for it on their platform.
Yeah. They have games coming. Their issue is, are they coming to PlayStation 2?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But,
that's
yeah.
They don't have any games currently, but they got a 10-game lineup coming for 2024. So,
what I'm saying, some of the Xbox fans are like, they don't even believe in this crap. Like, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you've now lost a lot of brand trust. When you said that your games are coming out for multi-platform, people that are normally so invested in your brand are now just not, because they don't trust that you're going to keep their best interest in mind. As a fan of that brand, they just know that you're interested in growing your base, but the way that you're growing it doesn't sit right with them because they've put so much of their identity into it. And this platform was a way to control that fire, but I think it just seeded a little bit more brand distrust for those fanatics.
About 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, maybe, when me and Jordan first started Dead Drunken Ship, I remember telling Jordan, like, Xbox, out of the three major companies, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox is the most unpredictable company here.
Yeah.
Yesterday confirms, like, I don't follow Xbox heavy as PlayStation, but I just know that I am completely done trying to understand what's happening anymore.
Yeah, it's just a little weird. The whole thing is just a little weird.
Same with PlayStation too, in a way. Like, the gaming environment is such in a weird state. Since the PS5 generation started, I don't know what's happening anymore. It's so weird. Like, where the industry shifting to, I don't know where we're going anymore. Nintendo's the only one that still seems to be traditional.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the digital environment. Like, I feel like people weren't ready to transition to fully digital gaming and what that meant in terms of exclusivity. And we're just kind of seeing the aftermath of, like, people trying to go, well, if it's digital, like, why am I getting a whole console if I can just play it? It's digital. Just make it work.
I'm about to say, like, even though I will always prefer console, admittedly, considering PlayStation's recent conversations and Xbox thing, PC is essentially the best platform here because it's getting both
gives
parties.
You the most variety,
Yeah, it's giving the most.
You get a lot of.
I prefer consoles. Even after saying that, I would still prefer consoles, but I have to admit, like, PC's got everything.
And even with, like, even if you get, like, a device like this, like the Steam Deck, like, this is a perfect Switch emulation machine.
That
like,
thing can play Spider-Man and Halo.
Yeah, it's like not hard crazy, right? To set it up.
Yeah.
Crockett, sorry, I feel like you haven't had much to say.
No, go ahead. I mean, it's all right. You guys know way more about this than I do.
Yeah, Xbox is in a weird state. PlayStation is in a weird state as well, but in a different way. And it's just like you said, I just can't predict what anyone's doing. Like, I know what Switch is going to be doing, probably, but Nintendo and Xbox, I'm like, what are we doing? You know, like, it's a little weird. The industry's in a weird spot.
Yeah, PlayStation came out a day prior to the Xbox podcast. Like, they said they're gonna commit to same again with Xbox things. They're saying the same thing but more profound. Essentially, PlayStation has started putting their games on PC around 2018, I think. So they're gonna still commit doing that. People got mad about that, even though this has been a thing for 5 years now. There's no reason to get mad about that. Yeah. I don't like it either, but
that
don't get
to
mad
me
at something
makes
that's already happening.
Yeah, and true. Yeah. But that makes more sense to me because it tends to happen like a couple of years after, like, a game's lifespan, right? Like, like Spider-Man came on PC like 4 years after launch.
Yeah.
God of War came on PC like 4 to 5 years after launch.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, it's like a timed exclusive almost. It's just like you can play it on PS5 first.
Time exclusive now. Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, other players can have the option. And that makes sense because you've run your lifespan of the game and then you introduce it to another audience.
I can see, like, I could literally see this could be, like, the death of exclusive games. Just everything is just like a 2-year time exclusive if it's like first party or something. And then eventually they're like, okay, we want to double dip. Because it's not really like, okay, you're gonna get a PlayStation. You're already kind of like a loyal fan. You're gonna buy a PlayStation or an Xbox, kind of like regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So, are people really buying it for the games anymore? Because it kind of seems like that focus on like first party games is not so prevalent anymore. Maybe when Nintendo, because that's kind of like all they got really riding on Nintendo, because you're kind of buying a piece of hardware that's portable, but just really doesn't have that staining power of like high definition, high resolution. It's not current.
Yeah.
So is this kind of like the future of gaming, of like, really there's not really exclusives, it's just all time exclusive games, and eventually they'll just all go to PC or whatnot? Or is this kind of like the leading door into maybe like 5, 6, 7 years down the road, we might see a PlayStation game on an Xbox service, maybe not an Xbox, or maybe like on an Xbox Game Pass, like they scoop something up.
I think
is this the beginning of the end?
No, I don't think so. It's I don't know where I stand in the exclusivity fight. Like I'm not a huge fan of exclusivity, but I know that it is a good like methodology to attract sales through your console.
Yeah, but for the first couple of years, and then
well, every time that a new game comes out, that's like people really want to play. That like if you make that game exclusive, you usually get 3 or 4 titles during a console's lifespan that kind of works that way.
Yeah, absolutely. FOMO is an absolute real thing.
Yeah.
And what injects new life into that game is re-releasing it on another console.
Correct. Like, that makes sense.
PC.
But
financially, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
From a corporate standpoint, to re-release something on another console after maybe a couple years after you kind of ran your cycle. All right, it's a dead product. We're just gonna put it on PlayStation Plus, or we're just gonna put it on Xbox Game Pass or something like that, where it's like, okay, well, let's just release it on other consoles, and then we're going to double dip on this.
Yeah.
It actually makes a lot of sense.
I think it makes sense.
And if you pair that with DLC, you release new DLC around that time too. Yeah. I could see not even a game lasting maybe a year and a half. That's enough time for them to make DLC, and then when you drop in DLC, you also drop another console, you get the console sales, and then you also get DLC sales. And then you can also charge full price for that game on another console. So you're being able to do 2 different ways of like, I'm pushing console sales and I'm pushing this new game. Now, once that cycle's out, instead of just being dead in the water, we can just now push it on another console. We can move DLC sales. So this might, it makes sense. Might be forward thinking. Yeah, it makes sense. And I think the reason, but I think this might be like the end of exclusives.
Well,
now everything just might be a time exclusive.
Here's the thing, and I think that this is why we're seeing that shift, and it has to do with like generally just the advent of digital gaming. Like when you bought a physical release of a title before, I think the psychology was like you buy this title, you own this title. Once you're done with it, the life cycle of that game would be a secondhand like sale, right? So it would be a second sale. It would go to a news shop. You would trade it in a GameStop or whatever. Now that that's kind of done, like they have to think of ways to keep games alive, especially if it's like a late game as a service, or if it's a game with like a multiplayer component that can give microtransactions. And I think that's why we're seeing.
But Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo never saw those sales.
They never saw those sales. But by virtue of those games being alive on the secondary market, their servers and potential microtransactions from those games were still getting some amount of revenue. And I think that now they've realized that they can get more of that microtransaction revenue if they keep the game alive on their console for longer. They put it on PS Plus, then they say, okay, well now it's done here. Let's mine it on the other side of the coin. I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but I think that it's like digital gaming has facilitated that.
To go with Jordan, I'm speaking on PlayStation's behalf because I still want to follow the moves. PlayStation's in a position where out of all the Sony products, PlayStation's the one that's most profitable. It actually gives them revenue. So PlayStation in this weird wishy-washy spot of being like Nintendo and Xbox, where they are releasing their games on PC, but they're also in that territory like we need people to buy PS5s or PlayStation 6s or whatever. So they're in a 50-50 spot right now. Regarding with PC, people aren't having issues, and people understand why. Something like Helldivers 2 or maybe Last of Us Factions was coming to PC. Again, games as a service games, they are meant to bring in lots of revenue, constant flow of revenue.
Yeah.
And those type of games are for that. Something for like Spider-Man, Wolverine, God of War. I still believe they're going to commit to what they said about a year or two ago. Like, despite this releasing on PC 2-3 years in advance, this is still a reason to buy a PlayStation 5, which numbers have shown that is still the case. To answer Jordan's question, exclusive games do make consoles sell. Nintendo.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying that like
it's not declining.
I'm just saying like that time exclusive where they can kind of have best of both worlds. Yeah. Now the only one you would see where they're kind of like staying behind times would be Nintendo. Nintendo's not doing that yet.
No, Nintendo's still top dog in Japan.
I don't think they will. I don't think they need to. Like, they know their audience.
No,
they know what games to buy. They know that Nintendo will always be like a more child-friendly console, so those are always going to be. That's a pretty constant market. They don't have to shift around.
That's selling those hardware. It's Pokemon. It's Mario. Zelda. There are reasons to own a Switch. I love how they committed to it. They value their IP. Sony's in a territory like that too, where we started becoming like that around the PS4 generation. But they're still in the medium of what Xbox is doing. But the thing is, PlayStation. So the reason we're saying Xbox doing day in day out because they're not making sales numbers.
That's right.
Even their exclusives not selling Xbox consoles. PlayStation in a position where we are selling consoles, but we also can compete things on PC. Why? Because after the Insomniac leak, we noticed these games are too expensive.
Yeah,
I remember months ago, Bryan told me, I always make PS Insights high. I always complain about PC sales. I always call it pocket change. Yeah. Now I know why they're doing that. The games are too expensive.
They're so expensive to make.
Yeah.
They're so
now
expensive
I understand why they've been on PC. Yeah. So this is one of the few reasons why they're putting things on PC. They're using it for Call of Duty money, then doing it for PC. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. And instead of adjusting, instead of making 6-year AAA titles, and then investing all of their money in that, instead of putting a little bit of money on mid-budget titles that take 2 to 3 years to make, take literally half the time and half the resources, and dropping those, the current gaming environment is people want bigger, people want better, people want the most, and companies are not realizing that model is not sustainable.
Yeah. The Sony CIO came out about that 2 days ago. One thing we need to fix is our budget.
Yeah.
We're going exceeding levels. We got to chill out a bit.
And that's fine when you're trying to build a platform that is attracting people. But there is such a point, like Marvel, take movies, for example. A movie used to take, if you made a movie for $50 million, you would need to market that movie roughly for another $50 million. So your marketing budget and your production budget are 100% the same number. So you spend $50 making the thing, you spend $50 million marketing the thing. So now at the box office, you have to make $100 million for that movie to be profitable at all, to even break even. You have to spend that money. And so in the movie market, it used to be where if a movie did, for example, you spent $100 million making a movie, and in the theater it only made $70 million in the theaters. You used to have the revenue of DVD sales, and those DVD sales would generate revenue for the film after it had been out on theaters, and oftentimes that would make the production company money at 2-3 years later, because people would buy the DVD sales and then they would see that money that way. Gaming has never had. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say actors used to act in low budget films.
Yeah.
Because of that.
But now the low budget films,
they would get the DVD sales.
Now the low budget films aren't being made because a low budget film can't really make its money back in DVD sales anymore.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
So because movies can't make that DVD sale anymore, that smaller budget movies that we know are not going to make their money in the theater are just not getting greenlit. And I feel like gaming is moving in a very similar direction, where if we know that this game is not going to sell 20 million copies in the first year of its lifespan, we're just not going to greenlight it. And so like now we're
that mentality, dude. That's absurd.
It is absurd, especially for like Lethal Company is a $10 game. It made $50 million on Steam, and it was one guy.
Well, it's like Lethal Company, Power World was $30, Helldivers is $40.
You know what's funny about all these games? No one predicted the success.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
And the reason no one predicted it is because it's people that had a vision that they took a risk on, and then like it just happened to pay off. Like the authenticity of that makes a lot of sense for gaming. And so like now when we're getting like Spider-Mans, which are great games, but how expensive is Spider-Man to make?
It's very but what I don't like that though is like sadly the games, and I love Helldivers too. Love the game. Yeah. But I don't want a future type of games like that constantly. That's aggravating.
Yeah. But I'm not saying constantly.
You're gonna see a couple of them. That's the thing. Like they see the success now, and then 2-3 years later.
But it seems cheap and easy. Like
they're chasing the trend. But what I'm talking about is like we need to like between a God of War or a GTA 6, like those studios need to put some amount of budget into smaller title games so that they can blow past their sales and generate revenue for the company and stop focusing so much on microtransactional big budget
Sony's been doing that with like secondary third party games like Final Fantasy VII Remake or Stellar Blade.
But even Final Fantasy VII Remake, like that's such an expensive game to make. Like
but they're not putting their own money for a first party game.
It's nothing risky though. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're
not risking on low budgets.
What I'm saying,
they're not willing to take a loss. I mean, you see that with even movies today. No one is willing to take a loss on anything. That's why we're seeing so many sequels to everything. No one is willing to make a new IP nowadays. We are seeing a hyper decline on IPs.
And the only people that are doing original IPs is like people like A24, Kojima. Doing his own thing, which I view as like an extension.
But even the Kojima thing is like they just believe in him.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
Because he already has a built-in fan base. He's not some up and new coming guy that they're going to give a huge budget to.
No. Yeah,
you know what's funny, Bryan? Though, like, what's the game you love? The guy, the suit.
That's Stranding.
Oh. No, the game out recently.
Alan Wake.
Game.
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake 2 didn't make nothing.
Just sold 1.9 million copies this weekend.
It's actually a failure, though.
Compared to their budget?
But what Bryan said, like it's a creative, different game. Like it's doing something new.
Did they not make their budget back?
No,
I'm trying to see.
Well, but you have that established. At least they had established IP. It's a sequel to a game. Also, it's built into the whole.
Today, it's sold. Is it? Listen, news headline: it sold 1.3 million. Remedy's fastest selling game so far. But it hasn't made profit because it's so expensive to make, which is like the problem. That's like the problem.
But my point is like it was still built into Control. Like the Control had a whole DLC for that game.
Alan Wake came before. Alan Wake was the establisher of the franchise.
Yeah, I don't think
Control had a DLC for Alan Wake 2.
No,
but it had.
That doesn't apply here because it's not. Yeah. It's one big franchise. True, but I think what Tay is mentioning is in terms of like people taking creative risk for games, like they don't see their money back. And like what I'm saying is not that we need big creative ideas or new intellectual properties. What I'm saying is that like when we had like Ape Escape is a small to mid-budget game that became successful in that platform.
I mean, like Among Us. Like Among Us.
There's no titles. They're all indie developers, but there's no titles that fit that $1 million to $2 million development budget. It's all 10 million, 50 million. GTA is developing for like $1 billion.
So you're saying like a mid-budget game?
Yeah, it's like the same thing with movies. Like double the reason why the double A games, single A games, something in that.
Thing is, though, people keep crying about we need those games back, but no one's actually supporting those games either.
But and that's what's really annoying about it is because the way this is a cultural thing across gaming. Like people say that they want those games, right? Mm-hmm. But the vibe that I'm getting from gaming as a whole is that if it's not AAA, we don't want it. Yeah. Like I saw a couple of tweets. This leads into one of the other topics, which I'm going to leave out because we're already running over. But it's like I saw someone tweet that PlayStation 5 had like no games. Like they've released like 3 AAA titles, and that means that the console has like no games. And it's just like,
what are you comparing that to? To like Nintendo?
to like Xbox or anything. Like they were just, it was a stupid tweet. It was a dumb tweet. I don't know what they were comparing it to. They were just saying like, it has like no games.
They're referring to first party studios.
First party studios.
Well, first party studios are sparse this generation. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make third party, second party exclusives, keyword, and irrelevant. They're not first party, I understand.
But like you also have to think about like
related to the PS5 platform.
Yeah.
They're still exclusive. We got Helldivers 2 this month. We got the Ronin game next month. April, we got Stellar Blade. That's 3 exclusive of PlayStation's second and third party titles coming to this platform. Exclusive. Mm-hmm. So what exclusive do you want? Like, what's the issue? You want exclusives, right? You got them. I get it, not first party, but it's still exclusive things y'all keep bitching about. So
talk about what you
I don't understand it either.
I was just saying, like, what people fail to realize is like these games take like 5 to 6 years to create. Like, no,
but that's Sony's problem, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the problem that we need rectified. It's like we need stuff that can be made in 2 year or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sony created the issue themselves. These big budgets and all these actors and voice acting. You know,
that's the kind of like the thing with Sony though. That's kind of like their essence. Like that's first party type of game is like these movie quality games where they take like 10 years to make, and then it's kind of like
starting to bite them in the ass. Basically.
It's a bit of a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because of it takes 6-7 years to make these games, and they're single player games, and you can New Game Plus them all you want and everything, but you beat them in like a week, and then
they're not revenue generators on the long term.
They're not, and they're not like the replay value is, it's there, you can replay it, but it's not gonna have a long life cycle. And when you have a game like, and that's perfectly fine, but when you have a game that takes that long to create, and you don't have anything else in the barrel to load up behind it, maybe like a little DLC here and there, but when you don't really have anything like it feels sparse. It feels extremely sparse. I understand where these people are coming from.
There is something that I find, I'm going to say this, and people are going to misconstrue it and saying that Sony needs to acquire more indie studios. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that development studios as big as Xbox and Sony need to take an approach where they are thinking like indie developers. Half of their pipeline should be thought about like an indie developer. How can we make something simple and clean that can make us some money? And we need to publish that on a smaller budget to supplement the revenue of the big expenditures instead of trying to make all of their money back from the big expenditures, because it's just not like if you spend $10 million developing a game, if the game and then like $20 million marketing it, if the game even makes $60 million, which is a crazy sales number to meet, you made like 50% of profit on that. And that's just not sustainable.
I think I may be wrong, but this might be wishful thinking, but I swear I think they are taking these bigger teams like Naughty Dog and Santa Monica, and I think they are breaking them up into 2 or 3 different teams, and I think some of them are creating those like $40 bite-sized games while they're creating like having a bigger team create so-and-so game.
And that's totally fine. But if those $40 game are also costing $5 million to $7 million to make, anything between the $5 million to $10 million range, that's still too expensive. They need to think like indie developers and make a game for $1 or $2 million.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is like games are just not getting cheaper. They're just costing. I mean, it's like inflation with anything. It's like everything is just gonna keep costing more and more.
Yeah, but there's a way to mitigate
people keep wanting the next bigger thing.
Yeah, there's a way to mitigate. I feel like gaming culture has gotten spoiled with always wanting more and more from the developers, and like social media is full of such entitled gamers that these companies feel like they always have to like crank it up to 11 instead of taking a step back and just being like,
I think we're going to the point where we're going to see a cultural change at some point. Something is going to happen, some kind of a crash or some kind of shift is going to happen where we're going to see something. Because a lot of these like companies know that like what they're doing is not sustainable. So I feel like there is going to be a shift at some point, probably within the next, I guess,
when we land into a recession and people can pay for this luxury product, they're going to have to make cheaper products so that people so that people can can afford them. Like that's going to be a big shift, and it's going to be the same cycle that happens with movies, where like we have a studio-centered era of time, and then like they go, okay, well that stopped selling. Let's give control back to the directors and make an auteur system again. And it's like the golden years of the '70s versus what we have now, over and over and over again. And I feel like gaming is going to land in that cycle where we go like we went so hard with the big budget, and then like now we got to like step back and like recoup our money, and then we'll go hard in the big budget again for another 10 years, and then we'll step back and like do things with smaller budgets. That feels like that's the cycle for me that's gonna be headed into, and it's gonna align with like the economy, like the recessions. When recessions hit, well, that's what's gonna hit it.
I think that might be why they were trying to dip their feet into the online gaming. Like you make one game costs $50 million. Dude. And then you just pipe beat it like DLC here and there and continuously make revenue on that for years and years to come.
Can you guys imagine?
I feel like that's what who was the head of PlayStation that's no longer head of PlayStation now? I forget his name. Jim Ryan. I feel like that's what Jim Ryan's goal was. You could definitely tell this was his like project child, was to make he was trying to cash in on
Fortnite success, which is impossible considering PlayStation Studios aren't meant to make those fucking games. That's what's annoying about it. Even The Last of Us 2, I was like, this is not happening. I even doubted in the videos.
And I feel like that is why we're going to see a large gap in between like a lot of stuff that at PlayStation, what they're going to be releasing, is because I feel that is the direction he was putting PlayStation in. I think it's almost obvious that was the direction he was putting PlayStation in.
He was trying to.
And it is definitely, they realized that is not working. He's resigned. And now they're trying to clean it up, and they're like, well, we're just not either going to we're going to rework these games, or something's going to happen where, because it's not going to work. And
that's what I was telling Bryan
Last of Us is the most obvious example of this.
Yeah,
the biggest example of this, like,
which one is
a massive failure, if you would.
That's what I was telling Bryan. Was like after The Last of Us 2, which is part of the Games of Service Initiative factions thing, when it got canceled, that's when I stopped knowing what PlayStation is doing anymore.
Yeah,
the first party games are selling. The single players games I'm referring to.
Yeah, they're exclusive.
Helldivers 2 is a success, unexpected success. Even as part of this initiative, they were not expecting these numbers in reception for this game. That's fact.
Yeah, their servers definitely reflect that.
I'm not going to, when it comes to PlayStation, I'm not comfortable or putting my foot again on what their direction is, because everything's out there with the PlayStation in general. But the funny thing is, when you guys are talking, I'm looking at Grand Theft Auto 6. Their game budget, we already know, is insane.
Billion, literally $1 billion.
But they know they're gonna make that back.
Yeah. Then we have Nintendo sitting in the corner and just waving.
Yeah, they're just doing their own thing.
Their own space. Why is it them just so comfortable in a position compared to PlayStation and Nintendo? I don't understand.
Here's a question. Here's an interesting actually podcast topic. But when is Nintendo gonna fail? At what point does Nintendo's thing, like their gimmick, just doesn't work anymore?
Here's the thing about Nintendo. And people call me a dick writer for saying this about Nintendo all of the time. But Nintendo, first of all, Nintendo has been through history. Twice already, they have taken a huge risk on a new piece of hardware. And that piece of hardware undersold expectations. And their company culture, their CEOs, have stepped down, and they've taken considerable pay cuts to make sure that their industry and their pipeline isn't disturbed, right? So even through failure, Nintendo is making product, which they may not be the result that they wanted, but they're still making something, and they're not taking a considerable amount of loss because the money's being redistributed throughout the company. Second of all, Nintendo takes risk that attracts people. Like the Switch was a huge risk. The Wii was a huge risk. No. The Switch is we don't view it as a risk because it's successful.
No. Because I don't view it as a risk because look at Japanese market shifted to a mobile market. That was smart to making a switch.
I'm talking about American. Let's talk about the American market. It's kind of what I'm talking about here.
But they're not really taking a risk here. They don't really care about American market that much.
They care deeply about the American market.
But their main objective though is foreign. Like it's China.
It's
Japan.
not. It's not that Nintendo. Their handhelds is no matter what.
Yeah.
all sell well.
Mm-hmm.
It was best for them. I disagree with the Switch being a risk because it was smart because it fits the Japanese market. Because the 3DS success, the DS success, the Game Boy success.
Yeah, I think it's kind of written on the wall.
I really do think.
Do it that way.
I really do think it is a smart thing, but I do think that making a hardware that is both like a portable handheld and like a tabletop gaming situation, not tabletop gaming, like a console gaming situation, had the risk of like not working properly, being viewed as gimmicky. Like there's a risk attached to that. They did the same thing with the Wii. And but Nintendo's one of those companies that when something doesn't work, they at least try to reevaluate and be like, okay, what didn't work about this? What did work about this? And so the Wii was just a stepping stone into the Wii U. And so like the Wii U was a stepping stone into the Switch. So Nintendo,
I think
the Nintendo is kind of like, in my opinion, always learning from even their failures and keeping to produce. Like there were a lot of games for the Wii U and there were a lot of games for the Wii, even though they weren't particularly successful because they're investing in that ecosystem from third parties. So I think Nintendo is willing to take a hit on something not being successful, but having something available to play in their console to attract the people that their audience is at. So I just think that Nintendo is more risk-taking with what they're allowing into the platform, or more cautious with what they allow into the platform so that it doesn't have a significant amount of like audience crossover and muddy the waters. With Xbox and PlayStation are competing pretty much in the same genre of gaming, while Nintendo is kind of competing in a different genre of gaming. And I think that's why Nintendo doesn't see a lot of failures in terms of like what's happening to Xbox or Sony.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the podcast. We do appreciate it a lot. If you guys want to follow us on any of the social medias or on Discord, if you want to have a conversation with us, links are all down below. If you guys enjoy this episode, leave a comment, talk to us, hit us up, messages on Twitter, whatever. If you guys enjoy the show, leave us a like. If you're watching this or listening to this more or less on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a review. That will help us a lot. And I think that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for taking it down. We'll see you guys next week.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.